But the weird part is that it implies that you've read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. But none of these quotes come from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Hello, fellow Ozians, and welcome to the channel. Recently, I have been nearing the end of completing my Oz room. There are quite a number of cabinets that I've added to the room that are literally right behind the camera right now that I haven't shown off, but I will eventually. But one of the things that I have done recently is looked at other people's Oz rooms. Sometimes you can get inspiration from how other people decorate their rooms. Sometimes the most simple little things can give you a whole new idea of what you can do with your own collection. So upon looking at all of these different Oz rooms, there was one room in particular that had something a little different that the others, at least up to that point that I hadn't looked at, didn't have. And that was Wizard of Oz quotes on the walls. And I was like, oh, that's a cute idea. Then I zoomed into the picture. And that's where it all went downhill. And this is the quote that was on the wall. "You've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself." L. Frank Baum, the Wizard of Oz. L. Frank Baum. L. Frank Baum. Since when did he write that? This, of course, is a quote from the 1939 MGM film. So why is it being attributed to L. Frank Baum? I decided to do a little bit of Googling and research to find out if I could actually find a real Wizard of Oz quote from L. Frank Baum. The results were interesting. I did a simple Google search, and of course, what would be the best place to find cute little quotes to put on your wall but Pinterest. So I typed in L. Frank Baum quotes Pinterest, and what would be the first quote to pop up that of course is written by L. Frank Baum? None other than, "Then close your eyes and tap your heels together 3 times and think to yourself, there's no place like home." L. Frank Baum. Yep, of course L. Frank Baum wrote that. Practically 20 years after he died, but of course he wrote that. Of course. This is going to be a great start to this quest now, isn't it? Now, of course, there are other quotes that are actual real quotes from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which at least is comforting, believe me. But I then decided to do a little search on Amazon to see maybe I could find a real one there. And I typed in L. Frank Baum quote. And the first quote that pops up on Amazon.com, it's a really good one from the book. Oh yeah, so great. I mean, like, y'all totally remember reading, "If I ever go looking for my heart's desire again, I won't look any further than my own backyard, because if it isn't there, I never really lost it to begin with." And of course, Dorothy said that in the book. Of course she did. So then you keep scrolling and you get further wonderful quotes from L. Frank Baum. We have to talk about this quote. I don't understand why this quote in particular I found so many times. This is the quote that the wizard says to the Tin Man about how to judge whether you are a loving person. A heart is not judged by how much you love, but by how much you are loved by others. I hate this quote because it's an awful quote. So basically what it's saying is you could be the nicest person on the planet, but if everybody else thinks that you are just a piece of human trash, well, you're unloving. What the heck? So I don't understand why this quote in particular I found so many times, but here it is on Amazon. You can get it in a cute little watch, and just, make you feel real good to know that L. Frank Baum wrote that too. Of course he did. So the really weird part about at least the Amazon listings is that the company that a lot of these have come from, they take quotes from different books and print them out, and you can buy the prints. Yay. But what's weird is that it implies that you've read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. But none of these quotes come from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. So who is this for again? But what exactly does Glinda tell Dorothy in the original book? Does Glinda tell her that exactly what she should say when she uses the, of course, silver slippers in the original book? The answer is no. Glinda doesn't tell her a special little saying to say. Glinda just tells Dorothy how to use the slippers. Consulting the original book, Glinda says, "All you have to do is to knock the heels together 3 times and command the shoes to carry you wherever you wish to go." And that is a real quote from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. That is what Glinda tells Dorothy. Now, if you're also wondering, what does Dorothy say at the end of the book? She doesn't say there's no place like home. She does say something similar to that. She says this, "And oh, Aunt Em, I'm so glad to be at home again." It's similar, but you can tell, at least from these 2 quotes, that this is definitely written by somebody different than the quotes that you are so commonly hearing from the MGM film. One of the things that I find very sad and a little depressing about all of this is that the voice of L. Frank Baum is something that is somewhat lost with all of these different movie quotes being so mainstream. We've all forgotten what L. Frank Baum's voice in his own texts actually sounds like, which is a little sad. Considering what this book brought about, it's just sad that Baum himself is now lost in the shuffle amongst everything else that's not the 1939 film. Now, of course, you can find L. Frank Baum quotes on the internet. I did find those. You just have to do a little bit of digging, and the reason why is because they're not the ones that you know. Now, of course, if you would like to experience what the original author's voice was like, you can always read the books. What a great thought. Another really nice book that if you don't have this book, it's a great book just to have on hand, and that is All Things Oz. This book has a ton of L. Frank Baum quotes in it. A really nice book to have, whether on your coffee table or in your Oz collection. Super duper cute book, and it's not that expensive. Looked it up on eBay recently. You can pick this up for $15. Not bad. And these are just a sample of the many, many wonders to be found inside all of L. Frank Baum's Oz books. And if you haven't read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, or any of the 13 sequels that Baum wrote, they are all in public domain and can be very easily found. And you'll be able to experience exactly what L. Frank Baum originally intended for his world of Oz. And if you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. New videos are posted every 2 weeks on the 15th and last day of each month. And if that doesn't satisfy your appetite for Oz, follow the link in the description to ozclub.org and join the International Wizard of Oz Club. Until next time, bye y'all.